Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Living, Loving, and Learning Together. I am Crystal, homeschooling mom of 3 girls, ages 1, 4, and 7. So we have 2 that are in school together now and 1 that is keeping us busy who's just started walking. This is a channel where I share mostly things related to mom life and homeschooling. And in today's video, I am excited to share with you all what has been working for us in terms of a morning basket. Now, a morning basket is a bit of a new concept even for me. This will be our 4th year homeschooling, and this is the first year that I'm actually using somewhat of a morning basket. It hasn't always been in a basket, but as of recently, I found that that is actually the most effective way for me to keep everything together when there are so many different moving pieces and books and resources to use when we are sharing and learning together. The reason why I think this year spurred on the use of a morning basket in our home is because it's the first year that we actually have more than one of our children at a school age level. We have our 7-year-old who's doing 2nd grade, and now for the first time our 4-year-old is joining us for school through our main homeschool program, which we use Classical Conversations. And so I try to match up a lot of the things that we're learning through Classical Conversations with our morning basket and pull things out of there that apply to what we're learning each week or each quarter. And in the case of this video, the last 12 weeks. So with Classical Conversations, one thing I should start by sharing first is that their approach to learning is actually more of a group style. And so no matter if you are a 4-year-old or if you're a 7-year-old, in our case, everyone is learning the same thing in terms of when it comes to new grammar. And so you're learning the same math facts, history facts, geography, locations, the same timeline, doesn't change, but all of these things are being learned whatever age you are. So that's why it worked well for us this year to start something like a morning basket where we can come downstairs and start our school day in the comforts of the living room together and work through some different things that we rotate that I have prepared for this season of our school life. So now that I've explained all that background, let me share some of the things that I put into this morning basket that we are rotating through. And if it helps you, that is great. And if you have things that have helped you in this last season, I would love to hear more about that too. So please make some comments in the comment section below that we can all glean from great resources and really good ideas from other homeschooling families. So without further ado, let's get into the basket. We start with devotions because that is the highest priority. One change that we've made this year is that we want to do more of incorporating the entire family when possible. And I know as families, sometimes that's difficult. We have dealt with that as well because dad's got to get to work. We're starting different things at different times, but we really feel that it's important to have devotions as much as possible with dad. So this year we have started to do a couple different things. When dad is home a few times during the week, he can be home later or we're up earlier. Whenever that happens, we are doing something that I'm super excited about, and that is our 24 Family Ways. This book is amazing. We have really enjoyed getting into it. It's by Clay Clarkson. I also follow his wife, Sally Clarkson, who has podcasts and written many other books for family life and just a spirit-led lifestyle for a mom and a homemaker. And so I find her stuff very helpful and very life-giving. So this book, Our 24 Family Ways, is an amazing devotional. And basically, in a quick nutshell, it always starts out with a picture that is depicting whatever lesson we're learning. So let me get to that first picture here. A picture that's depicting the lesson that you're learning. There's 24 lessons, and then within each week, so you do it for 24 weeks, or however you would like to break it down as a family, but then within each week, it gives you the family way. So the first one is we love and obey our Lord Jesus Christ with our wholehearted devotion. But then what I love about it is that it breaks it down into very clear discussion points for the whole family. And so we usually start with dad reading the first question that is meant to encourage conversation, starting with the littles. So it'll say, as a king, would you share your throne with another king? Why or why not? So that's just an example. It asks you a question, and then that immediately creates conversation and the thought-provoking process of what you're getting into for that devotion. Then it gives you scriptures to share, and then it breaks down questions to talk about it as a family, and then prayers. The next page takes you through the memory verse for that particular devotion, and just talking about the character and giving some comments that you might want to share as the leader of your family's devotion. The way that this is broken down, I have really been enjoying it. It really creates depth of conversation and digging into some hearty things that lead the family on a really good process for pursuing Christ together. So that is our 24 family ways. We do that when we are all together as a family and we just keep going in sequence. We don't stay on a particular schedule because life happens and sometimes you need to move things around, and we just do it as we can. So that is our 24 family ways. When Dad has left early and we're not able to do family devotions together, then I have been going through theology with the kids. And we just take this little by little. This book has amazing visuals. I love the illustrations, the pictures, the simplicity of it. But it basically breaks down theology at a kid level. You go through theology of God, theology of people, theology of sin, theology of the promise and the law, and theology of Christ. And I mean, it has so much in there. But once you get into it, it basically introduces your concept that you're going to be talking through for that section of the book that you're in. And then it gives you a short read, and it shares 2 verses every time that you can look up and share that is related to the read that you just had. And then it shares a few more scriptures around the picture to dive a little deeper if you want to have more scriptures to read from or select one of those for memory verse for that week or that day. This book has been great. Loving the process and the different scriptures that it takes you through as you're reading each devotion. So that is our second rotation for devotions. We actually tried this out first from the library. We're still on loan for it, but it's been so good that I think I'm going to actually purchase this one to have for our household. And then other times I also will break out this Proverbs for Kids, the book. One of the things that I do love about this book in particular is that you can pick a topic that you're trying to emphasize or dig deeper into, and it talks about all those different things. So the first pages are about God. Then you have building blocks, takes you through lessons on learning and doing, beautiful inside, dependability, speaking the truth, home and family, friends and neighbors, your reputation, God's protection, law and justice, don't quit, your body, the good life, and your future, work and money, teaching, other things. You pick a topic, but if there's something specific that you are trying to look for in particular, I love that you can just go to the beginning of that and look up what section of the book should I be looking for and go directly to that. So example here is being pleasant, respecting others and their belongings. Then it just gives you tons of verses about that particular character trait. We've been using that for devotions as well, usually in addition to theology or some concept that we're focusing in on for that week or that time. And those are the 3 things that we have been rotating. We also have, it's not in here right now because we just used it upstairs last time, but the Berenstain Bears has a kids Bible devotional book as well that we have been rotating through, and the kids have been loving that. It has fun pictures, breaks it down through a story form that the kids actually really enjoy, and those have been our 3 different things that we're rotating through for devotions right now. It's fun to have things changed up just a little bit to kind of change the pace and change the style for the kids too, so that it doesn't get too monotonous. So those are our devotional pieces for our morning baskets. The next thing that I have in our morning basket is a few stories that we're reading through and read-alouds. I won't go through every single one of them because that would be a very long video. But one of the fun books that we're reading right now is The 7 Habits of Happy Kids by Sean Covey. This book has been amazing. It basically breaks down 7 habits of happy kids, but it tells a story, and then you're going through the 7 habits through each story. So first you have bored. You read the story, which they're super cute stories, super cute characters. But then through that story, you're learning a life lesson. And the kids are learning a life lesson. And then by the end of that story, he does share some thoughts for the parents to think through and where the story came from and lessons learned of what inspired the story. Then it gives you some discussion thoughts and then next steps, baby steps to take for how to apply the new concept that was learned through the story. Our kids love this book so much that it actually spurred on my oldest to really have some life change in her own life. She started a hot chocolate stand, just some inner motivation and encouragement. She started making notes and journaling, and all inspired by things that she learned through the stories in this book. It was really effective and really fun to read. They were always super excited when it was time to read one of these stories. The 7 habits, I'll go ahead and share those because that might be helpful when you're considering taking a look at this book. But they are: be proactive, you are in charge. Nobody's in charge of whether you are bored or not, right? Begin with the end in mind, have a plan. Put first things first, work first, then play. Think when everybody can win. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. So listen before you talk. And together is better. And then the last one is balance feels best. So this has been amazing. I highly recommend this book. So we don't do it every day, but again, this is all a rotation and things that we pull from in the basket. This book is called The Pomegranate Seeds. We just finished this and it was great. It was a really good story. Thought-provoking and created lots of conversation. One of the read-alouds that we rotated through, sometimes at bedtime, but also part of our morning basket. And then we had other things that were tied to CC. So The Great Pyramid was a book that I already had, but I threw that in there because we are learning about ancient Egyptian history and this area. So we're learning geography through Africa and Asia and those areas right now. And so we took through reading The Great Pyramid. This book has been phenomenal. We're taking it little by little because it is a lot of information in here, but very interesting. So we use it as a read aloud, but it's got pictures to describe what it's going through. It's been very informational. We've been surprised by a lot of these facts and we're able to share them. And I do recommend The Great Pyramid. This is by Elizabeth Mann. So that is The Great Pyramid. Here are just a few other books that we may also include in our morning basket rotation that do relate to what we're learning at the time. We have Ancient Egypt. Here we're looking at The Great Wall. And this would be another great read aloud that I would probably use with the girls when we are studying more about China and Asia for geography. And this is another book that I find super resourceful just as even a reference for some of the main famous places that we might study. Here is a glance at all the ones in this book. But for instance, we have the Roman Colosseum, we have pyramids in here, the Statue of Liberty, talks about why we have it, how it was made. Great reference book. For science, this is another quick one that we sometimes can refer back to. This is another illustrated encyclopedia. Love illustrated books because they give so many pictures. This is the Usborne Illustrated Encyclopedia. Along with some of those couple read alouds that I have included in there that we rotate through, the other thing that I do is I throw in the current week's timeline cards, and this year for the first time I purchased the science cards by Classical Conversations. And so what I will do is I'll throw in the 7 timeline cards that we're going through of our history timeline for this week, and then I also throw in that week's science card. And so while we're down after devotions, we'll do a read aloud and then we will review our timeline together, and generally that goes hand in hand with also reviewing geography. So this is where we throw in a lot of our geography learning. So I will either pull it from the information on the back of the timeline card. A lot of times from geography, that will trigger a lot of our other history study and geography depth. And so for that, I use children's atlases. So this is a great one. This is very basic, the Golden Atlas for children. And what I love about this book is that on one page, you already see so much. So let's go to where we're studying now. China and Mongolia. So we just learned the geography for these places, but then it kind of gives you pictures of different things and just a few facts about that area that you can share in a short time, depending on the attention spans of our little learners. So these books have been fun. This is a good one. We also use this World Atlas. This one has been well loved, as you can see. But it is a World Atlas. What I love about this is that it's actually the illustrated World Atlas. But when you break open a section, it shows you where in the world that is, but then it gives you really great pictures and facts and history about that area. It gives you lots of statistics about that area that you can see all on one page. On the next page, it breaks down the nature and wildlife of that area with stunning pictures that you can, all these are things that you can add in that lesson for teaching on any given area or subject based on what our timeline or geography is for that week. And then it goes into farming and industry and what life might be like in that area. So it's got 3 main pages for each section before you move on to another place in another area. This illustrated World Atlas is amazing. And so I highly recommend that for geography, morning baskets, or whenever you're digging into studying locations. So that is a plus plus. The other thing that we sometimes pull from during morning baskets is some science. And so this is just a very basic level science book, but I love that it's so basic and it's got illustrations and facts to share. And then it also has fun things like this is a search and find for many of the different invertebrates that you can find in this yard scene. At this level, since we're combining our 7-year-old and our 4-year-old, it's nice to have just some basic level stuff that are highly visual and interesting for the kids to both learn from. One other thing that I did want to share that's not necessarily in our morning basket, but that I did get from a book list where I got lots of our items for our morning basket was these audio books that I basically just throw in the car. I keep them in the car. And as we're going places, we listen to these on audio. This is Jim Wise, and he does a whole program of Greek myths, heroes in mythology, Egyptian treasures, mummies, and myths. So these are all stories that are retold by Jim Wise, and it's an amazing retelling of these stories. He does a great job, and it's gotten us into studying all of our lessons on Greek myths and all those things that we're going through right now. But a great way to have story time, even when you're riding in the car. You can take them in the house too, but that's how we've chosen to use them in our house over the past couple months, and it's been great. We've all enjoyed hearing these stories. Read aloud in general, whether you're doing it or you're getting it on audio, I think it is so effective, and so we try to include as much of that into our learning as possible, and these are some things that has made it helpful in the last 3 months. So while we're on the topic of morning baskets, another thing that has really helped make our homeschool process go more smooth this year is actually keeping these 2 baskets handy in our living room. This one is for our morning basket with school-related things and devotions. This basket is entirely dedicated to library books that we have selected in this season. And so it's helpful to have these in the same space because this way, all the library books stay in this basket without getting mixed into our stash at home and having a hard time finding them or just forgetting about them and forgetting to read them. That way, when we are doing our morning basket, we can easily pull this basket over, and if we want to read something that's maybe lighter, that for the little one, we can pull out one of her type of books, or if we want to read something just more fun or relating to a topic that we're delving deeper into at that time, then we can pull right out of the library set that we've selected, and it's right here in our space next to our morning basket. So this has been a huge game changer for me as a homeschooling mama, just keeping one place for all of our library books and having that nearby our other books of things that we are studying during that time in our morning basket. We don't always pull from this during morning time, but it is nice to have it nearby in case we want to, or in case there are some books that are mixed in. I do pull some books that we are currently using from the library to add to our morning basket, and those kind of stay in here as long as we've got them out from the library. And then it's still all in one place, not getting mixed into our household stash of books and so forth. So that is another idea that has really, really made my homeschooling mama life more streamlined and pleasant for us all. So I hope that is helpful. These have all been some amazing resources for us. And if they can help you along in your homeschooling journey or with your morning baskets, or some ideas if you're going through CC as well, or just some ideas to check out from the library in general. If you've liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel if you want more videos like this. And also comment below if you have ideas on things that you've put in your morning baskets. I think that one of the best ways that we can grow and learn is sharing together as parents. And so I'm very interested in seeing some of the things that you have added to your morning basket in this season. So please share your comments below and we can all benefit from them together. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.